All right. How's everybody doing today? I had an article here that I wanted to share with everybody. And this is coming from the Off Guardian, and I have no. Do I have any sound?
Oh,
check.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go. Hey, there I am. Okay. I have an article here that I want to read from the Off Guardian. And I thought it was really good because it covers some different studies that we talked about before, but it kind of condenses, consolidates, and overlaps some other items. And I'm going to jump into the article, share screen. Fast food graveyard.
Ooh, yummy.
Sicken for profit.
Mm.
The modern food system is responsible for making swaths of humanity ill, causing unnecessary suffering, and sending many people to an early grave. It is part of a grotesque food pharma conveyor belt that results in massive profits for the dominant agri-food and pharmaceutical corporations. And this is why we talk about carnivore a lot, is about a healthy, healing way of eating to escape the pharmacological chemical soup.
Yeah, it's an elimination diet.
Ultra processed food system. Yeah. And that's why we talk about it, because it's one solution, and and it's a simple solution that works for an inordinate amount of people. That being said, if you're not subscribed to the Fearless Podcast, tomorrow I'm going to be having Dr. Sean Baker on the Fearless Podcast. So if you're not subscribed, go to your podcatcher, subscribe to the Fearless Podcast. If you like it, leave us a 5-star review. It helps. But looking forward to that interview tomorrow. That should post. We are going to be at Mountain Readiness.
Yeah.
In Harmony, North Carolina.
Very excited.
Friday, Saturday. So we're going to be out of pocket. If I can get that up before we leave, it'll be cool. But it'll be great. Looking forward to that.
Carlos.
And much of the modern food system has been shaped by big agribusiness concerns like Monsanto, now Bayer, which was IG Farben before, which is interesting, especially with current stuff in the news. Cargill, giant food companies like Nestle, PepsiCo, Kellogg, and more recently, institutional investors like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. So BlackRock and Blackstone and Vanguard and State Street don't just own like all of the real estate and everything else. They own all. They're heavily invested in these multinational food corporations that basically have slurped up all food processing, which is another reason why we recommend eating non-processed foods. And there's nothing less processed than beef. So just another carnivore plug. For the likes of BlackRock, which invests in both food and pharma, fueling a system increasingly based on ultra-processed foods with its cheap and unhealthy ingredients, is a surefire money spinner. And this is where healthy foods and health food stores and processed foods and like organic potato chips and all these different things, they're still heavily processed. Yes, exactly. I would not be eating those things, y'all. Toxic junk. Consider that fast food. I found some of these statistics incredible. Consider that fast food is consumed by 85 million U.S. citizens. What I want you to do, y'all, whenever you're driving tomorrow, commuting, driving around, when you're in your,
especially in the morning,
in your little town. We're in a little town, and these fast food joints continue to pop up. In the last 10 years,
it's incredible.
We've went from like literally one or two to like 20 in 10 years.
Literally.
And, from a fiscal financial standpoint, being a finance guy, you look at that and you're like, how is that remotely sustainable? And it's largely in part because we've used this fast food industry to supplement and replace our manufacturing industry and to create jobs. It's creating a lot of sick people, which creates sick people for the medical industrial complex. So it does definitely creates job. It definitely generates revenue.
Definitely.
But for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So consider that fast food is consumed by 85 million U.S. citizens each day, not like once a year or anything. Several chains are the primary suppliers of many school lunches. Some 30 million school meals are served to children each day. For millions of underprivileged children in the U.S., these meals are their only access to nutrition, and it's no different than the meals that are served at our medical hospitals and at these different medical facilities.
Nasty.
It's just nasty processed garbage, seed oils, high fructose corn syrup, nonsense. In 2022, Moms Across America and the Children's Health Defense commissioned the testing of school lunches and found that 5.3% contained carcinogenic, endocrine disrupting, and liver disease causing glyphosate. 74% contained at least one of 29 harmful pesticides, 4 veterinary drugs, and hormones were found in 9 of the 43 meals tested, and all of the lunches contained heavy metals.
No wonder they're all overweight. You know, it's sad. I saw a group of kids today, when they were all out of school or whatever, and there was maybe one kid out of like 20 of them, 20 or 30 of them, that was like it was a little bit overweight, but not too bad, just about average. But all the rest were at least 20, 30 pounds overweight.
Yeah, I think the new statistics on obesity in America, I think, is like 80%, and I think morbid obesity is over 40 or 50%. It's mind numbing. It's sad. We're eating ourselves to death. But these heavy metals, lunches contain heavy metals at levels up to 6,293 times higher than the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's maximum levels allowed in drinking water. 6,293 times higher. Moreover, the majority of the meals were abysmally low in nutrients, and they were inordinately high in processed seed oils and high fructose corn syrup, because that's what everything's made out of. We were just talking the other day, when when you're from my generation and you used to buy Breyer's ice cream, and Breyer's vanilla ice cream had 3 ingredients, and now it has like 15. Yeah. And you're like, well, it's vanilla ice cream didn't become complicated. And this is all this
complicated.
This BASF, better living through science. They've chemicalized,
and it doesn't taste as good as it did back when you used to.
Yeah, and they claim it's for profits, and then maybe there's a way that they squeeze out more profits. But Catherine Austin Fitz talks about this being the slow kill, by Mr. Global. But as a follow-up, the MAA, a nonprofit organization with support from CHD and the Center Academy, recently decided to have the top 10 most popular fast food brand meals extensively tested for 104 of the most commonly used veterinary drugs and hormones. The Health Research Institute tested 42 fast food meals from 21 locations nationwide. The top 10 brands were tested were McDonald's, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, Subway, Domino's, and Chipotle.
Uh-oh.
Collectively, these companies' annual gross sales are $134 billion.
That's mental. It's mental. You can't even wrap your head around that.
3 veterinary drugs and hormones were found in 10 fast food samples tested. One sample from Chick-fil-A contained a contraceptive and anti-parasitic called nicarbazine, which has been prohibited.
Wicked.
Some 60% of the samples contain the antibiotic monesin, which is not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for human use.
It's really bad then.
And has been shown to cause severe harm when consumed by humans.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's in the food.
40% contain the antibiotic narasin. MAA says that animal studies show this substance causes anorexia, diarrhea, dyspnea, depression, ataxia, recumbency, and death, among other things.
Oh, good.
Monesin and narasin are antibiotic ionophores, toxic to horses and dogs at extremely low levels, leaving their hind legs dysfunctional, paralyze them. Ionophores cause weight gain in beef and dairy cattle and are therefore widely used, but also cause acute cardiac degeneration and necrosis. Wow. According to a 2017 paper published in Reproductive and Developmental Toxicology. So these toxins are being used to fatten up. And this is another reason why we say, know your farmer, shake your farmer's hand. Know where your beef comes from. Know what your beef's eating. And you know what? If your beef is grazing on grass, then it's not going to contain.
And this is why,
or narasin.
This is why we're eating a very simple diet, because all of these heavy toxic metals are in all of the food, y'all. And it is absolutely terrible. And there's people that comment on the channel like, oh, well, what about Jesus? He used to eat, fish and bread and wine and all that stuff. Well, guess what? Back then, the grain was super, there was no crap in that grain, and they actually processed it a really the best way for you, and your body could actually digest it and everything. Nowadays, with all the heavy toxic metals that are in all of the foods, especially all the vegetables and the grains mainly, it's just absolutely terrible for you. So at least if a ruminant animal can process down these plants and everything like that for you, but you don't have to be a carnivore or whatever, but we would highly recommend people, especially with the fast food stuff, it's the easiest thing to do. Yeah, it really is. It's an easy thing to do. And
the thing is all you have to do is realize that you think that, one, you think that you're hungry. You're probably not. Two, you think that's like chewing stuff in your mouth and swallowing it is doing something good for you other than just making
it's just a dopamine reaction,
your stomach not feel like you're hungry anymore. But it's literally poisoning you. It literally has anti-nutrients. It is literally
toxic stuff in there, and it doesn't even have like a high nutrition, it's not even nutritious for your body. That's why you can eat that stuff and be hungry within an hour too.
Yeah, and that's by design.
Unlike if you go and have 2 burgers or whatever that you cook yourself, I've been only eating 1 meal a day, and I'll normally have 3 burgers or some stew, and then to get me through the day, I'll have some raw eggs in my coffee, and that's been really, really good. But yeah, this right here, and this is the other thing too. People waste. Look at that. It said, what was it? $140 billion.
Yeah, 138 billion.
138 billion a year, and that's when people will be like, "Oh, well, meat's so expensive." Well, if you cut all the crap out, you know how much.
Yeah, a lot of people.
How much money you will save?
Starbucks a day. They're drinking 12
and
bucks
that's
a Starbucks a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can easily eat carnivore on 12 bucks a day, no problem.
Yeah.
And you can make it more or less, you can eat a very heavy egg-based diet and eat even cheaper than that. There's so many tricks and you'll feel better. That's the amazing thing. It's not even about just eating inexpensively. It's about feeling better. And your body will heal from these different ailments and diseases. You'll sleep better, you'll feel better, you'll have elevated.
Well, yeah, because it's all the toxins you're like perpetually pumping through your body, you know?
Yeah, for many years, ionophores have also been used to control coccidosis in poultry. However, misuse of ionophores can cause toxicity with significant clinical symptoms. Studies show that ionophore toxicity mainly affects myocardial and skeletal muscular cells. Only Chipotle and Subway had no detectable levels of veterinary drugs or hormones. Following these findings, MAA has expressed grave concern about the dangers faced by people, especially children, who are unknowingly eating unprescribed antibiotic ionophores. The nonprofit asked, are the side effects of these ionophores in dogs and horses leaving their hind legs dysfunctional related to millions of U.S. citizens presenting with restless leg syndrome and neuropathy? These conditions were unknown in most humans just a generation or two ago. A concerning contraceptive for geese and pigeons, an anti-parasitic called nicarbazine, prohibited after many years of use, was found in a Chick-fil-A sandwich samples. Cool. Thanks, Chick-fil-A.
What?
Thanks, Doug Cathy. Whichever one of the Cathys is now running the Chick-fil-A transnational enterprise.
I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A is not even that good.
No.
I've had it.
No,
it's really not that
terrible.
good. It's not good.
Executive, but they're so nice. Bless your heart. The executive director of them, they're so nice, but they're poisoning you. Isn't it great? Okay. The executive director, but hey, I was hungry. I got it quick. They were nice to me. I mean, does it get any better than that? I mean, I'll die.
You got one?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm speaking.
You're.
Yeah, okay. Metaphorically.
Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know.
Once you got one. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Don't eat processed food. I did today.
I was like, what? I'm like, you went to Chick-fil-A?
If I ate Chick-fil-A, I'd be like, okay.
You'd be dead.
Like, the executive director of MAA, Zen, how do you like that first name? Zen Honeycutt, concludes the impact of millions of Americans, especially children and young adults, consuming a known animal contraceptive daily is concerning. With infertility problems on the rise, it was funny. One of our wholesalers, man, he brought in a gigantic sack of Chick-fil-A, and our whole sales force, they just like wolfed that bag down. I'm like,
that's the other thing with Chick-fil-A, right? It's all chicken, right? Chicken is very lean, very low, like barely any fat in chicken.
Well, it's cooked
whatsoever.
in seed oils and with the bread, whatever the breading is. I mean, it's absolutely toxic. Seed oils are really totally toxic. There's absolutely no redeeming quality.
Chicken, no matter how much you eat of it, will not fill you up like long term. Like it's just, it's bad.
With infertility problems on the rise, the reproductive health of this generation is front and center for us in light of these results. MAA says that it is not uncommon for millions of U.S. citizens to consume fast food for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or all three meals every day. I watch it. I watch it every day. I watch people eat fast food multiple times a day, every day. And from my experience and what I see, they're spending between $15 and $30 multiple times a day, in addition to their 7 Brew or their Starbucks. And I mean, people are spending $50 to $100 a day conservatively on fast food. And then they want to say like carnivore is expensive. Like you couldn't eat $100 worth of red meat a day. You couldn't even do it.
Nope. I mean, I guess you could if you got like a crazy expensive cut of meat.
Well, yeah.
Like if you got some stupid little,
if you got some like Wagyu imported from Japan, you could. But I mean, if you were eating like
meat,
if you were eating T-bone steaks,
middle of the road, you know,
you could be eating like you're not going to eat 4 $25 T-bone steaks in a day.
No. And if you are,
you're going to be like Superman.
Yeah, for real.
And you'll be like, oh, it was worth it. Instead of being like, fat and
for real.
like dope nodding because you drank a bunch of like pharmaceuticals. It's like all the dope without any of the positive side effects.
Yeah.
It's so great. And you'll be sterilized.
It's the biggest drug in America is the fast food.
School lunches are often provided by fast food suppliers. This is that part of that public-private partnership, y'all. This is that, inclusive capitalism. And typically are the only meals underprivileged children receive and major component of the food consumed by most children. Exposure, and this is child abuse. Parents that feed their kids is trash. It's absolute child abuse. But we were hungry and we were in a hurry and blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's poison. And you can have all the great excuses, but it's
the other thing toxic. Too is that everybody goes through this in their life, so we're not shaming anybody too if you're doing this, but you can change it. It's a really easy thing. You just don't do it.
Change the habit.
Change the bad habit. We used to do it. We used to be the people that'd be like, oh, we're going to treat out. And the treat out was almost every time we went out to town and we would get donuts and whatever. And
was I there?
No, you weren't there.
Oh, okay.
But you would cheat and do other stuff too. And you would get junk and stuff like that that you would eat. Not all the time. Not as bad as us.
Oh, okay.
But,
Just check.
But mom would do it. And she was doing it to be nice to us, but, and then you have all these. No, it's not nice.
You have all the unintended consequences.
So, we're not perfect,
of course,
but, we're just trying to help other people out. Yeah. So
exposure to hormones from consuming concentrated animal feeding operations, CAFOs, livestock, could be linked to the early onset of puberty, miscarriages, increasing incidence of twin births, and reproductive problems. These hormones have been linked to cancers such as breast, uterine, reproductive issues, and development problems in children. Once again, this is why we reiterate, buy your meat locally, shake a farmer's hand. This is part of parallel economy, parallel community, parallel society, and you're supporting your local rancher farmer so that they can continue to function and provide even marginally high quality. Most standard ranching practices from a standard grass-fed ranch, even ranches that vaccinate, that meat is going to be so a factor of 1,000 times better than any type of CAFO, than any type of processed or ultra processed.
If you're on the fence between buying from the store, beef from the store, and I know a farmer, but he feeds his cow grain or whatever, and they're out in the field and he'll feed his cow grain every once in a while, go with the farmer.
It'll still be
long.
It'll still be 800 times better quality, higher quality.
This cow's been out in the sun and the cow's been eating loads of grass. Okay,
been on real dirt,
once in a while,
real grass.
And once in a while get some grain or whatever.
Drinking real water.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not cram-packed in a, like you were saying, in these nasty old concrete muddy jungles, pens, standing in their poop all day long.
Feeding them antibiotics and all this
junk all day
toxins
long.
Just to fatten them up.
Yeah.
So how can it be that food, something that is supposed to nourish and sustain life, has now become so toxic? Great question. And this is the question that we ask why carnivore, and why don't you guys eat string beans and all that stuff? How come food has become so toxic?
Yeah.
Corporate influence. One answer lies in the influence of a relative handful of food conglomerates which shape food policy and dominate the markets. Now, when we talk about this conglomeration has taken place in every industry. It's taken place in the military industrial complex. It's taken place in our banking system. It's taken place in every major industry. There's been this confluence. There's been this concentration of assets and power and control. And that's why you have these transnational, that's why you have companies like Nestle and Unilever, and they literally own 40 to 60 brands.
It's incredible.
Of ultra processed food packaging.
You
places.
Start checking your labels of who made what, and you're like, dude,
It's Unilever. It's Unilever. It's Unilever.
It's all Unilever. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. You're like, whoa, they have their fingers
and
in
then
everything.
You're like, oh, that's why it has 45 ingredients.
8 billion ingredients.
And I can't pronounce any of them.
No, yeah, exactly. It's scary.
Okay.
And because they're all government subsidized, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just.
For instance, recent studies have linked UPFs, that's ultra processed foods, such as ice cream, fizzy drinks, and ready meals to poor health, including an increased risk of cancer, weight gain, and heart disease. Global consumption of the products is soaring, and UPFs now make up more than half the average diet in the UK and the US.
Wow.
So they're saying that ultra-processed foods make up more than half of the diet.
Also, real quick, just wanted to say this. If you haven't already, go check out the interview that we had with Todd. It's on the channel. It's been getting kind of shadow banned of lately, but it's absolutely incredible. Go check it out. He was super addicted to soda, and that is a serious addiction, which is, it sounds crazy to me, but it definitely is. And I know several people that have been addicted to soda, and it is very sad. And they get the kidney stones all the time, and it's a terrible thing. And he was able to go through this process, and he even tells his story of how he got off of it and his like mixture that he made, like his healthier soda, and then he finally was able to get off of that, you know. And it, you know, it's
powerful.
It's very, very powerful.
And it's a solution. It's a solution that works.
Exactly.
In late September, however, a media briefing in London suggested consumers should not be too concerned about UPFs. After the event, the Guardian newspaper reported that 3 out of 5 scientists on the expert panel for the briefing who suggested UPFs are being unfairly demonized had ties to the world's largest manufacturer of the products. Oh, you mean it's like propaganda? You trust the science? The droplets? The briefing generated various positive media headlines. You mean safe and effective? On UPFs, including ultra-processed foods, as good as homemade fare, says experts. And ultra-processed foods can sometimes be better for you.
Oh, yeah.
Experts claim. It was reported by The Guardian that 3 of the 5 scientific experts on the panel had either received financial support for research from UPF manufacturers or hold key positions with organizations that are funded by them. The manufacturers include Nestle, Mondelez, that's got to be some Spanish. Mondelez. So yeah, Mondelez. Yeah. I've never heard of that one.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Unilever, and General Mills.
That's 6.
Yeah, that's right, probably the big 6. I mean,
just a handful.
Professor Janet Cade, University of Leeds, told the briefing that most research suggesting a link between UPFs and poor health cannot show cause and effect, adding that processing can help to preserve nutrients. Well, if there are any, if there are any nutrients. Cade is the chair of the advisory committee of the British Nutrition Foundation, whose corporate members include McDonald's, British Sugar, and Mars. It is funded by companies including Nestle, Mondelez, and Coca-Cola. So there you go. The usual suspects. Professor Pete Wild, Quadram Institute, also defended UPFs, comparing them favorably with homemade items. You can't make this stuff up.
It's so crazy.
Wild has received support for his research from Unilever, Mondelez, and Nestle. Professor Cyrene Ford from Wageningen University in the Netherlands told the briefing that advice to avoid UPF risks demonizing foods that are nutritionally beneficial. Ford had, and if you're seeing the way that the brainwashing and the propaganda works, it's the same method, model, repetition, white lab coats, technocracy, quote the scientism and the expert.
Science will fix everything.
And better living through science, and we just need more preservatives because we can preserve the nutrients. It's just so past dumb. Despite what industry-backed scientists may say, increased consumption of UPFs was associated with more than 10% of all-cause premature preventable deaths in Brazil in 2019, according to a 2022 published peer-reviewed study in the American Journal of Preventative Medicine.
10%.
10% high processed foods. And I mean, that just makes sense with all the cardiac disease and metabolic disease.
We were going through
type 1, type 2 diabetes.
We were going through town, and there was an ambulance at the
ambulance.
There's an ambulance at the old what was it? Wendy's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Syrupy irony.
Yeah.
In high-income countries such as the U.S., Canada, the UK, and Australia, UPFs account for more than half of the total caloric intake. Brazilians consume far less of these products than countries with high incomes. This means the impact would be even higher in richer nations. In a 2016 report by the research and campaign group Corporate Europe Observatory, CEO, it was noted that obesity rates were rising fastest among lowest socioeconomic groups. That is because energy-dense foods of poor nutritional value are cheaper than more nutritious foods. This is all part of that slow kill, the process, and the subsidy and the regulation that forces the farmer to dump out their milk, right?
Yeah.
Pour it on the ground.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. All this kind of stuff. And in the islands and Trinidad and Tobago and all that stuff going on. Okay. At the time, key trade associations, companies, and lobbying groups related to sugary foods and drinks were together spending an estimated 21 million pounds annually. I'm sorry, 21 million euros annually to lobby the EU. Wow. Well, one of the best known industry front groups with global influence is the International Life Science Institute. Isn't that so great? The International Life Sciences Institute. In January of 2019, two papers by Harvard professor Susan Greenlaw in the BMJ and in the Journal of Public Health Policy revealed ILSI's. Am I the only person that is so sick and tired of all the acronyms that I just want to jump off the bridge? But this is part of the technocracy. You got to get used to the CIA, FBI, NSA, ILSI, the BMJ, and the TMJ, and wow. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Sorry for the rant. It revealed the ILSI's influence on the Chinese government concerning issues related to obesity. In 2017, media report noted that ILSI India was being actively consulted by India's apex policy formulating body, Niti Aayog. ILSI's India's board of trustees was dominated by food and beverage companies. So it's not just here. This is a global food coup d'etat on humanity. This is a gigantic consortium of conspiracy led by the transnational food corporations. ILSI's expanding influence coincides with India's mounting rates of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. In 2020, a study published in Public Health Nutrition revealed details about which companies fund the group. ILSI's North America's draft in 2016, IRS Form 990 shows a $300,000 contribution from PepsiCo, contributions greater than $200,000 from Mars, Coca-Cola, Mondelez, and contributions greater than $100,000 from General Mills, Nestle, Kellogg, Hershey, Kraft, Dr. Pepper, Snapple Group, Starbucks, Cargill, Unilever, and Campbell's Sloop. Professor Janet Cade told the recent media briefing in London that people rely on processed foods for a wide number of reasons. If they were removed, this would require a huge change in the food supply. She added that this would be unachievable. But regardless of all that, like, there's no concern of whether or not the food's actually nutritious or does anything positive other than make your stomach have something in it.
Yeah.
She added that this would be unachievable for most people and potentially result in further stigmatization and guilt for those who rely on processed foods, promoting further inequities in disadvantaged groups. Yeah, you're poisoning these people. Like, you're acting, you're poisoning them under the guise that you're helping them.
Yeah.
And now that you have universal health care, you are creating a forever patient with is their immune system on demand.
But remember, we are not doctors. So consult your doctor. This is not medical advice. And this is a comedy show.
No, consult an expert in a lab coat that's paid by Coca-Cola.
Consult your naturopath doctor. There you go.
While part of the solution lies in tackling poverty and reliance on junk food, the focus must be on this whole tackling poverty thing. It's just a foolish, it's all by design. We've been fighting a war on poverty, and all it does is create more poverty. But while part of the solution lies in tackling poverty and reliance on junk food, the focus must be on challenging the power wielded by a small group of food corporations and redirecting the massive subsidies poured into the agri-food system that ensure massive corporate profit while fueling bad food, poor health, and food insecurity. And here's the thing. You can directly affect this every single day.
Yeah.
Don't buy the trash. And guess what? Not only are you going to have more money, you're going to save more money, you're going to be healthier, you're going to live longer, and you're going to actually be cognitive and functional so that there even will be a next generation that has cognitive and physical function to even do anything.
Yeah.
And that is far more powerful than trying to that is really the only way that we're going to defund these trans. And then really, hey, not to be like, the reality is like, this is the way people eat. So, I mean, the only thing you can do is educate people. Yeah. You can say, hey, man, did you ever think about this? Like, that stuff's trash. All these guys were like dove into this gigantic bag of Chick-fil-A, like a bunch of like pigs at a feeder CAFO, like slop fest party. And they're like, you don't want one? They got one in each hand. I'm like, no, man, I'm good. Like, I like sleeping well and I like feeling good. And I don't want to like eat a breakfast sandwich and have to go dope knot.
Yeah, it's like the instant gratification,
Yeah.
It's just,
and there's no gratification. I mean, it tastes really great on your tongue.
Yeah,
but after that, you just pay the piper.
That's the creepiest thing with this artificial food is that it tastes good, but long-term effects, after you swallow it.
Yeah, after you swallow it, you have immediate repercussions. Yeah. Everybody's got IBS.
Unlike, it was just like Todd when he was talking and he stumbled just into the whole carnivore / elimination diet. by, he was looking at some steaks one day in Costco.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, those look so good. And he did it, and he cooks them up, and he ate 3 of them in a row, like, for like, I think 3 days in a row. He ate one each day. And he was like, it was the best I ever felt right after eating those big old steaks or whatever, and that's the power of real nutritious food.
Yeah, and that's a Michaela Peterson quote. Nothing tastes as good as feeling healthy feels,
Yeah.
And that's why it's a self-regulating mechanism.
And not a lot of people, when you're eating out in junk food, you don't really realize too much how bad you actually feel until you get off of it, because it's a drug.
Yeah.
And then once you do get off of it, say, I'm going to take a 30-day break, right? And then you can look back and see how bad you actually were, just like when we went carnivore, we can look back 120, 30 days, and you can see
when you see all these intrinsic benefits because you had ailments you didn't even know you had.
Yeah, exactly.
They were gone.
Until they disappeared, and you were like, oh my goodness, I really was messed up.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It's very powerful.
So, and we're more on a carnivore 2.0 diet. We still do have honey. We still do have fruit on occasion. A lot of people, we keep getting the question every day, what are you going to do with all your fruit trees? Are you going to grow a garden anymore? I don't think we're going to really grow a garden anymore. We still might grow a couple veggies, maybe some cucumbers and different stuff like that, possibly. But I absolutely still love fruit. And we have all these fruit trees, still going to be planting more fruit trees.
Food forests in a box are coming out.
Absolutely.
Soon.
That stuff
Probably
is
November.
Definitely not toxic for you. It's way better than the stuff at the grocery store.
Yeah, and you're growing it.
But that's the thing. You're getting that fruit and everything from the grocery store, and it's sprayed and dipped in nasty stuff to preserve it and to preserve the color of it,
picked
and
early,
the look of it. And
anti-nutrient, and then it's sprayed and coated.
It's toxic.
And then they have to gas it with butyl to just ripen it.
You want to make yourself never eat another McDonald's fry again. Watch the McDonald's fry video. And me and mom were like McDonald's fry connoisseurs. Like, we loved McDonald's fries. Like, they are amazing. But now knowing why they're so amazing is because how deathly toxic those things are. They have to degas them. The farmers put the spray out there to kill the beetles from getting to these particular type of potatoes that they grow. Nematodes. Yeah. And the farmers can't even go out into the fields for like so many months or weeks or whatever. And then they got to put them in these silos, like these big barns or whatever, and let them off gas for 6 weeks. And guess what? This toxic crap is off gassing into the atmosphere, like where everybody else breathes from, and they're like, oh, those cows out there in the field are farting and it's so bad. You got these toxic waste just spewing everywhere. And then
plant-based though, yeah.
And then you're going to take that and then deep fry it in seed oils. In case there was one shred of nutrition in there. It's so
bad. You're
bad.
Going to deep fry it in seed oils. Then probably they're going to microwave it to reheat it, just in case there was one particle of an electron that had a remote resemblance of nutrition. A quark of nutrition. I mean, it is the systematic,
it's crazy
self-destruction of ultra processed psycho food nonsense. Let's see. Let's finish this article.
Yeah, sorry.
A healthier food regime centered on human need rather than corporate profits is required. I mean, a lot of this is just personal choice, personal education, personal awareness, rather than having to, that's the weird thing about society now is like, it has to be this larger thing that has to be like some consortium and there's got to be all these countries involved and these special interest groups. No, it's really it's simple as what you put in your mouth tomorrow, and it's as simple as what you feed your children tomorrow. It's as simple as the next time that you go to buy food, the decisions you make. It's as simple as what you do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And hope.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you just bought $1,000 of ultra processed foods, and you think that, well, I spent this money, I don't want to waste it, so I'll eat all these poisons up. Now, once you've eaten all those poisons and they're gone, and it's time to replenish your whatever you're going to eat, make a halfway decent decision.
Yeah.
Nobody is forcing you to do anything. Well, blow pops are cheaper. Well, yeah, but it's going to kill you. It's going to give you diabetes. Okay.
Diabetes. We need that on the soundboard. That'd be awesome.
We need Wilford Brimley saying diabetes. A healthier food regime centered on human need rather than corporate profits is required. This would entail strengthening local markets, prioritizing sure supply chains from farm to fork, and supporting independent smallholder organic agriculturalists, incentivized to grow more diverse range of nutrient-dense crops, and small-scale retailers. This is the kind of things that personal choice and personal responsibility to do without any other associations, governmental, non-governmental, NGOs, or anything. It's just personal choice.
Fast food came around is when, the
nuclear family was destroyed.
The nuclear family was destroyed. There you go. My words weren't coming to my head.
You said nuclear.
I know.
Like George Bush.
There you go. I clicked both buttons at the same time.
That's true, George. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, buddy.
So you don't have the mother in the home to cook all the meals. So guess what you have to do? You got to go out and eat. You got to go get the fast food and everything like that.
You got to eat your French fries.
Yeah.
Saying that eradicating UPFs would result in denying the poor access to cheap, affordable food is like saying let them eat poison. Of course, because you always appeal to the poor. You always appeal to the kids. It's always emotional. It's always very feminine.
For the kids.
That's the feminazi way, is to be emotional, tearjerker. And it's about the poor kids, and it's about the starving kids and all this stuff. And, that's the way that they do this. That's the way propaganda works.
They chop the baby's heads off.
Yeah, that's the way the manipulation works. That's what's currently going on, on the Twitter and on the mainstream, lamestream.
Yeah.
And, you invoke the kids, and then I'm not going to go down another rabbit trail. We're going to wrap this up. And, but yeah, we appreciate and love y'all. We appreciate all of our customers, and this is value for value. So if you appreciate what we do, go on over to TheTexasBoys.com. We're still making some decisions on inventory, what we are and aren't inventory. Yeah. And, we're still shipping out, and any of y'all that are going to be at Mountain Readiness, comment down below. We're going to look forward to seeing you there. Yeah. We're looking forward to that. mountainreadiness.com in Harmony, North Carolina, the 20th through the 22nd.
Yeah. We're driving 14 hours there.
Yep.
So if you are somewhat close to North Carolina, I think it would be definitely worth the drive. It's going to be quite the event that T is going to be putting on there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So
we're looking forward to it, y'all. Yeah. And like I said, have Dr. Sean Baker on the Fearless podcast.
That's going to be awesome.
Make sure you subscribe over there on your podcatcher. It'll probably post to one of our YouTube channels as well. But hope y'all have a great day, and we'll see y'all in the next video.
All right. See y'all later.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.